these memes, which are all terrible by the way, where it's like 1 to 4 reps is for strength and 4 to 8 reps is for size and strength, and then 10 to 15 is for muscle size. Yeah, none of that's true. Basically, your muscle does one thing. It gets stronger. And when it gets stronger, the motor units become thicker. The actin and myosin becomes like physically thicker, which gives you a greater circumference of musculature. So the only thing that's going on is you're getting stronger. You either have an efficient path to create this effect, or you have a totally inefficient path to create this effect. Hi, my name is Jaquish. I'm a doctor of biomedical engineering, which gives me a unique perspective beyond what a lot of sports performance guys see when they read academic literature and make observations about sports performance. Today, I want to talk about something a little bit different. I've really gone over how many sets you want to do. I've beat that subject to death, and I did it for a reason, because ultimately you can get all of the stimulus into one set if you have a strategy like variable resistance to get the greatest amount of work done through the musculature, that whatever you're targeting, in the shortest possible period of time. So I want to add some stuff to that discussion, but also people ask the question, well, how many reps? Like, is there some magic to going like 1 or 4 reps? And you see like a breakdown sometimes in like these memes, which are all terrible by the way, where it's like 1 to 4 reps is for strength and 4 to 8 reps is for size and strength, and then 10 to 15 is for muscle size. Yeah, none of that's true. Basically, your muscle does one thing. It gets stronger. And when it gets stronger, the motor units become thicker. The actin and myosin becomes like physically thicker, which gives you a greater circumference of musculature. So the only thing that's going on is you're getting stronger. You either have an efficient path to create this effect, or you have a totally inefficient path to create this effect. But now the question is, what about reps? So I want to talk a little bit about the Henneman size principle. So what this states is that motor units are recruited based on difficulty. So, if I pick up this cup of coffee, like, is my bicep contracting? Yeah. Is it going to fatigue? Am I recruiting the larger motor units? So the Henneman size principle says, as you recruit more muscle, the size of the motor unit that's getting recruited becomes larger and larger and larger. So basically the large motor units that you have, the most powerful actuators inside the muscle, are saved for when you're really doing something where fatigue is happening. You're losing velocity. So a lot of that has to do with mechanical tension, because like I said, I could lift this cup of coffee all day. I'm not going to go to fatigue in my bicep. Now then, the question, I think the Henneman size principle has been misread in the past to think like, okay, I just need to go like super low reps, super heavy weight. That's not quite true, because, and we have other research showing that you can go between 5 and 30 repetitions and get the same effect, because even if you're going to 30 repetitions and you've picked a lower weight, by the time you get to that 30th repetition, you've accumulated a lot of mechanical tension and a lot of exhaustion. You are calling upon those larger motor units if you truly are going to fatigue. Now, variable resistance helps you go to fatigue. When you're holding a weight, your subconscious will basically, to a degree, stop you. It's a process called neural inhibition. But when, like if I'm doing a bicep curl, I might be holding 300 pounds here, 150 here, and maybe 100 down at the bottom. So I can go through that range of motion and diminish the range so that my last couple of repetitions are much shorter. Now, I still haven't answered the question. We see the same results with 5 to 30 repetitions. So how do you decide what repetition you go to? That's where the literature becomes a little foggy, because ultimately, I want to accumulate the most mechanical tension in the muscle. But I also have to keep in mind, the higher the repetitions, cross-referenced with a larger muscle, like if I'm going 30 reps with deadlifts, that's going to be more of a cardiac stimulus than a muscular stimulus, because I'm just going to run out of like oxygenated blood before that process gets finished. Now, Mike Mentzer said something, and I'm a fan of Mike Mentzer. His principles were, I think for any one person, him and Arthur Jones, I kind of judge them together because they work together. But ultimately, I think they pushed knowledge, especially practical knowledge of weight training and just training stimulus and response in general more than any two people really ever. Unfortunately, they did not have the benefit of the amount of literature that I have, because since they were doing this in the 1970s, a lot of studies have been done. They always had the opinion that because you're walking around on your lower body muscles and giving them nominal contraction all the time, that you really want to go high reps with lower extremities, not so much with upper extremities. I can create an argument to reverse that. To be honest, we still don't know what's right, but ultimately, I think this is what you got to stick with. You can go higher reps. Like let's say with a certain lift, like right now, I'm doing the Paraforce bands, Paraforce, the 41-inch bands, and I'm doing the black and the light gray together. So I'm doing however many repetitions I'm doing. As I accumulate fatigue, the reps are getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Now, when I started doing that, you guys, there's a piece of B-roll that keeps recurring. That was the last time I was in Mexico. And I did that for 12 reps. Some of those were partial, so maybe like 10 full reps and 2 partials. Now I'm up to 24 reps and 5 partials with that same band setup. So this was 6 months ago when I got back from Mexico. So that's an incredible amount of strength that I've gained, and I'm getting stronger in every single workout. But I'm gonna get to the point where as I'm closing in on 30 repetitions, am I out of breath or is it really musculature? Now, when it comes to training chest, what's involved in the chest press? So pectorals, deltoid, tricep. Those are small muscles by comparison to the quads. So is that gonna be as big of a deal? Probably not. But if I'm training legs, do I want to do 30 repetition squats? No, because that just becomes a cardiovascular experience at that point. I'm arguing the opposite of what Mike Mentzer said and Arthur Jones, that you really want to go lower reps on the lower extremities to the point where you make sure that your fatigue is muscular and not cardiovascular. So that's going to be different for everybody. And the amount of muscular size you have is going to alter that. So the larger your quads become, like for example, I've given this example before. It was with a guy that I used to work with at the Munich airport. And the Munich airport is like the land of stairs. Like you have to run up and down the stairs between German immigration and then rechecking your bags, and you got to run downstairs and you go through customs again in Germany, and so I'm with a guy that was working with me, and we were running up and down these stairs, and I'm out of breath and he's not. And he's a really slim guy, and he says, "Oh, your cardio's terrible." And I said, "No, that's not what's going on. It's my quads are bigger than yours are, so they draw more blood. So it's like somebody with giant quads is never going to be a great marathon runner because that's going to draw so much blood, it's going to exhaust them. That in itself." And this is also part of why I think sometimes strength athletes get accused of having poor cardiovascular endurance, where they actually have better cardiovascular endurance than everybody. They just have a bigger engine. So that bigger engine is going to draw more fuel and it is going to create exhaustion faster. Doesn't mean they're out of shape. In fact, their heart is statistically much healthier than that of a distance runner or an endurance type athlete. But it just doesn't manifest based on how many miles they can run because of the size of musculature. So My advice, what you want to do is when you find a setup where you're getting, you know, let's say 10 repetitions or even less than that, let's say 6 or 7. I don't want to go down to 5 because then with variable resistance, now you're dealing with some crazy weights. But, you know, ultimately, you're doing however many repetitions you're doing. Keep that same setup because now you've changed no variables from workout to workout. So with the same setup, like I said, the last 6 months, I've been using the light gray band and the black band, and that's my chest press. And I do, you know, like 1 set on one day, and then later on in the week, I do my second set. So I only do 2 sets in the whole week for my chest. And I get stronger every single time I do it, but it's because I'm making sure that it's progressive overload, like I'm going for more than I've ever done before. And I'm not at the point yet where I feel like my ability to keep my breath and blood into the muscle is the limiting factor. As soon as that happens, I got to change the setup. I got to go to some heavier banding. So I hope that helped. Just make sure it's the muscle going to fatigue, not your heart. Give me a comment. And if you have any questions that have to do with other research, please cite the research. I'll see you on the next one.
If this video helped you, I want you to subscribe and follow. I'm going to put out videos on a regular basis. I think they're going to help a whole lot of people, especially if you're one of those people that doesn't just instantly grow from lifting regular weights. We've got the answer for you.